Sounders, hello. Here we are in this interminable international break. Rolls on and on and on. And I want to get on to Pompey. Before I start, though, I just want to go back to the day at Preston, because it was such a nice day as an occasion till the end, and I just want to particularly thank those people I met up in Preston, the Pompey brethren, the Pompey following, men and women who particularly those who got into St Catherine's Social Club, just behind Deepdale. How they found that, I do not know how I found it. I can't even hardly remember. It was so tucked away. But you Sounders, you don't forget pie, peas and gravy for £3. Delicious. And you don't forget all the Pompey folk I met. And I feel badly, but there's one couple that I just have to mention, and I didn't even get their names. This is very bad of me. I'd met this bloke, believe it or not, about 40 years earlier, he said, at an away game. And that is extraordinary, but I'm afraid it's quite possible. And I did say that I would interview for Pompey Sound him and his missus, and then because I talked to a lot of other people, I didn't get round to it, and for which, if they're listening, and I think they do listen, I humbly apologise. Honestly, I feel badly about it. It was just the occasion got to me. I wasn't expecting so many people to be in that little place. It is, incidentally, quite brilliant to discover how many Pompey fans have found Pompey Sound. It's a growing club, as you know, for Pompey supporters, and there were loads of you happy to join in at Preston. It was good. Of course, after all that feel-good factor, 2 hours later the team had ruined everything by conceding in the last few minutes of the game. I mean, ruined everything for the day. A draw would have done us, wouldn't it? And the worst thing about it was, of course, this upcoming international break meant 2 weeks to wait for another game. 2 weeks to wait for some redemption. No one likes that. It's the worst time to lose a game, Pompey, before a break. It's the worst time. The silver lining, if there is one, and there is one actually, is to give John Mousinho's team, his coaching team, a chance to sort things out a bit and get organised for the upcoming seven big games. And I did talk about it a little bit after Preston. One issue for me would be to get some leadership evident on the park, because I simply didn't feel we had it at Preston, or indeed feel that we've had enough of it really this season. I look at Regan Poole because I think he said somewhere that he wants to be a captain material for Pompey, and undoubtedly sees himself as a leader, and he came with that sort of reputation. And the problem with Regan simply is that his injury did set him back, and I don't think we've quite seen that swashbuckling, buccaneering confidence that he displayed when he first arrived. It's undoubtedly still there, and we will be seeing it in the future. He just needs really to get himself established and settled into Championship football, and I've got no doubt that he'll do that. But I think it's asking a lot of him to produce his leadership characteristics. And then if you start looking through the team, you can see why my theory anyway is that it's lacking a bit. I mean, our greatest player, arguably through the season, Colby Bishop, doesn't feel to me like he wants a role like that. I think he's got his hands full. He knows his job. But I don't think he wants to actually be a leader of the side, nor indeed Murphy. I don't think he's a wonderful player, though he is leadership material. Of course, Marlon is, but Marlon Pack, that is, but his role in the side takes up all his current attention when he's on the pitch, I feel. He is obviously our captain, but I think it's difficult for him to actually exert the leadership role that he has done in the past. Richie is similar to Marlon, got his hands full in holding down his position and doing that job, which he does so well. And I suppose you could say that he's leadership of the sort of top end of the pitch for Pompey, and that's great. And I've mentioned it many times, the way that he tries to organise the press. But he's not our captain. Schmidt, he's probably too far away. I mean, I don't know. There are other captains that are keepers. I think there are one or two, but not that many. And anyway, for him, for Schmidt, he's a laid-back individual, isn't he? I almost feel maybe shy. I don't know him. But anyway, he does what he does at the back, and that's where he will stay, and that's where his influence is at its greatest. Isaac Hayden, you'd think might be a captaincy material himself, but he's not actually established himself totally into the starting lineup, and so that's where his energy should go. And then, of course, Atkinson, Shaughnessy, obvious captaincy material, out injured. So, Sounders, the leadership larder is bare. It means that, I suppose, John Senior would say they're all leaders, or they all should be leaders on the pitch. But certain individuals will come out, and I think that could materialise after the break. And we could be... let's look at some of the issues that we're dealing with in terms of selection after the break. It seems to me apart from the captaincy, there are two big problems facing us. First of all, providing ourselves with a secure central defensive pairing, that's obvious. And Lord knows, Sounders, we all realise the problems we've had in doing that. The absence at various times of Poole, Shaughnessy, Atkinson, Matthews. And we haven't even seen Irbain Bott, who was also expected to play his part this season. That list of absences from a crucial area of the pitch is unprecedented. And it's impossible, of course, to plan for. If we come through this successfully, great credit should go to the whole club for all those problems that we faced this season, but we're not there yet. I'm reading that we're going to see Alexander Milosevic, hopefully against Blackburn. That's great. That's another attempt to push back fate, and we can only hope that he still has the power and the fitness he undoubtedly possessed during his career to do that job for Pompey. I mean, they couldn't have found a better man if he's still up to the job. He's certainly got the track record to suggest that he could do it for us. And as I said, we've already got Regan Poole looking better with every game. And then, Sounders, there's the possibility of Conor Shaughnessy being ready to come back shortly. Probably, I'm not assuming for Blackburn, but in the next few games. And even Rob Atkinson being fit for the last couple of games. So Milosevic, Shaughnessy, Atkinson, I'm cheering up as I speak, Sounders. And it'll be really interesting to see Alexander Milosevic hopefully on Saturday. Now, the other area of problem, the other big issue is goals and where to find them as this season ends. So let's thank any god or prophet or belief system that we have that Colby is around, Mr. Reliable. Colby Bishop has done brilliantly since we almost, when I think about it, I screw my face up in horror. We almost had to write him off for this season. Many people did. I sort of did myself, knowing the extent of the problems that he had. But he was back way before time, and Colby always chips in with goals, but he needs goal scoring support. I think that's fair enough to say. He's not simply or naturally our goal machine. He's more than that in his holding up, in his laying off, but he's less than that in terms of his goal scoring. He needs help. And we lost Callum Lang, who does that thing so well, and that's a big blow. And then and now I bring myself to talk about Kusini Yengi. I mean, it's been a disappointment for us. He'll be disappointed himself, to be fair, I'm sure. But for all his attributes and his promise, he's never quite found his way to playing 90 minutes of rumbustious, unsettling, goal-scoring, striking play that we thought, we really believed he might have in him. Now, we're not so sure. Not so sure that he can translate his promise, his physique, into playing at championship level. And the horrible truth is that his age, and in particular his fitness resilience, are suggesting that maybe he's reached his personal ceiling. And we'll see. But we don't have time to wait for him to prove himself just now. This is the business end of things. We need goals. Mark Amani is obviously, I think obviously, I think most people think obviously actually, he's going to be a good striker, but we shouldn't rely on him. Not at this tense, pressured time. With him really at a young age and learning the ropes. And doing it with great promise, but we shouldn't rely on him. And the same, and more so, even more so really, goes for Thomas Waddingham. He is Sounders one for the future. as the cliche goes. So where's Colby's goal support coming from? I think the answer is from those all-rounders, from those who already chip in. Certainly Murphy. He's just gone slightly off the boil. You couldn't have expected the degree of success that he has had in the last few months to continue unabated. You couldn't expect that of any footballer, but we need him to keep keep right on to the end. Sounders, who sings that? It's not us. I can't remember who sings it now. It's a Midlands side. Anyway, we want him to keep right on to the end, and hopefully, Orshish. I know he's not everyone's answer, but I think he's shown us once, hasn't he? He's shown us one brilliant goal that he can do it, and he needs to chip in more. Hopefully, Matt Ritchie will have one or two up his shin pad. And we need one or two from midfield. This doesn't happen very often. And certainly maybe from Ogilvie, who does pop up with goals in all sorts of unlikely situations. And Cohen Bramall gave us an absolute quality attempt at Preston. When he advanced from the halfway line with the ball and planted it narrowly wide of the post, it was an example of his clean striking ability, and he could chip in. And then, just returning to what I was talking about earlier, if any of the big centre backs, the real big centre backs, are back, or Milosevic, who's never been, but will be playing. Then, if they chip in, we've got a chance at set pieces, haven't we? The truth is, for goodness sake, everyone is welcome to take the goal-scoring burden off Colby, and many of his teammates are welcome to make a contribution. And that's all got to start when we gather at our Saturday church, Sounders, of Fratton Park, because Blackburn are coming. Like Pompey, Blackburn lost last time out at home to Cardiff City, of all teams. If they could have lost to, there are a lot of teams they could have lost to, but it was regrettable that they managed to lose to Cardiff City from our point of view. And the fact is, Blackburn have lost momentum since Christmas, and their playoff aspirations, which were high, have faded to some degree. They're not totally out of it, unfortunately. But they've only taken 1 point from the last 4 matches, and they've got a new manager who hasn't yet provided a bounce. I don't think he's had a win since he took over in February. In other words, they need a win. They're due a bounce. And they're desperate, really, if they're going to preserve any meaningful end to the season. They're desperate to come to Fratton Park and take the points. Sorry to say that. It's going to be pressure. 7 games of pressure. But it'll be okay in the end, Sounders. I honestly believe that. But we're going to have to, like the team, deal with the pressure. Sounders, play up, Pompey.